You know, Arlington, Nebraska is a small village in eastern Nebraska. It was recently named by BusinessWeek magazine the second best place in America to raise a child. Think about that statistic. Think about your family, your children, your school system, your parenting style, your immediate community. Just start asking yourself, where would we be? How would life be different if we lived someplace that was that supportive to our children? It's a fascinating question to reflect about. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. You're on Wild Biz TV, and I'm visiting with a very important person in this Arlington, Nebraska, and this statistical trend that I just recently shared with you. Her name is Lynn Johnson. She's the superintendent of Arlington Public Schools, and she's right here with me. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Lynn.
Pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you. My pleasure. Listen. That's right, much deserved applause, by the way, because all day long we've taped other interviews and we're digging deep into the culture of Arlington, and your school system keeps coming up as an important component or variable in the evolution of the community. Sure. So tell us, I know that you do a super job here. What's your philosophy insofar as what's going on over here that is so special and unique that these kids are blossoming under your tutelage?
Well, you know, I don't know if it's necessarily what we're doing within the school as much as what the whole community is doing with the school.
There's clearly that support.
Absolutely. But I think everything that we do here hinges on one principle, and that is that we're passionate about building strong relationships. And everything we do here is about toward that end, building the relationships that will make kids feel confident and courageous and willing to step out of the box and be unique and be themselves. And we're not in that endeavor alone. Because of our rural, small town community feel, we're joined in that endeavor by school board members, staff members, parents, community members. And
when you have that kind of support, it's easy to do your thing, to kind of implement and work with the kids without being distracted by people that are kind of pulling at you or criticizing you or whatever. You know, it's a very interesting relationship you have with the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. The small town rural community gives you those personal and social relationships that are different. They're unique to this type of an environment, and we're fortunate to have that here at Arlington.
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting. Tell me a little bit about, you know, there's a big debate, education just in general, we'll go broad. Education is being, you know, heavily criticized in the entire country. It's a big issue. State of Nebraska, it's a big issue. People are thinking about new processes and completely new ways, kinesthetic learning, experiential learning, kicking the kids out of school at noon and having them go out and learn in the work. A lot of interesting things being discussed. How do you fit into that? What's your creative philosophy about moving kids forward? Are you doing anything particularly interesting or unique here?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Sure we are. You know, as you said, we are building our kids to work in a future that's considerably different than the world that you and I grew up in, and it continues to change. So what we're really trying to create are individuals, young individuals, that have the confidence and the skill levels to look at life on a broader spectrum, to understand that they are going to experience many more job changes than you or I have probably in our lifetime, and that they have the skills to make that happen, that they can be reflective and analytical and go about their life choices in that way. And what we have to do for them here is, first of all, give them the confidence and give them the ability to develop those skills, not only in the core areas, but in the other areas with the activities and opportunities outside of the classroom that helps them to become leaders, that helps them to grow that confidence.
On a percentage basis, I'm just putting you on the spot, how important are these activities and these sports and these different things that they do out of the classroom in their overall evolution as leaders or mature people? I mean, is it 20% of the big picture? Is it 70 or 80% of the big picture? Tell me how that works.
I'm going to say it's closer to the 78 range than it is the lower range.
Okay.
Obviously, they need to have the skills, the math, the reading, the writing, and our kids, they have those skills. They achieve very high on our assessments and on the state assessments.
Okay.
But more importantly, and you know that, in today's business world, they have to be independent thinkers.
Yes.
They have to be creative thinkers. And I think all of that really is embedded in confidence. It's embedded in the ability to have relationships with others, to engage and interact. And that's what we try to cultivate here.
You know, one of the big things I read in the New York Times a few weeks ago is very interesting. They said the #1 problem with the younger generation coming up is they've been coddled, they've been treated as special and so on for so long that they always feel like they're winning, and then they get out of school and there's a failure. Something happens. And it may not be a life-ending crisis or something like that, but they have difficulty, they're unfamiliar with failure. And they haven't cultivated resiliency and the ability to adapt to those kinds of circumstances. What's your take on that?
Well, you know, I do think there's some, that is a little bit of our reality, and we have a responsibility to make sure kids understand that everything isn't easy.
Yeah.
And they're going to have plenty of opportunities to be successful here. They're also going to have opportunities to fail and to be picked up and moved forward again. And we want to make sure that we set that bar high enough and it's challenging enough that they absolutely have opportunities to fail in an environment where it's less threatening.
It's not the end of the world.
Absolutely
And there's
not.
something interesting about that in a small town. You talk about failure, obviously you're talking in the classroom, but in a broader sense, it's an easier place to pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and move forward, because there's a little more of a network, a little more of invested in how you're doing rather than just how I'm doing.
Absolutely, and that goes back to, I think, what rural communities still capture the essence of is those traditional values. You know, life isn't all about making money, and about success isn't defined in what's in your pocketbook necessarily,
right,
or where your vacation homes are necessarily,
or how many likes you have on Facebook.
Absolutely, likes on Facebook, although that's pretty important. But it's defined in relationships too, and it's defined in what's important to you.
Yes.
And the ability to make sure that we help kids understand that that could be a multitude of different things, and there's no wrong or right answer to that.
Right.
And so, you know, again, we come back to what's most important is relationships. And it's building relationships that will allow you to move all these different directions and engage in what you want to engage in.
Well, you know what? If I were somebody else and I had some children, I'd move to Arlington and I'd make sure they got into your school system, and I'd do that with a fair sense of confidence myself. Lynn Johnson, thank you so much for sharing this really important thing. You know, this is at the heart of this award from Business Week. It's at the heart of Arlington's future, and we are so grateful to have you here and joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Lynn Hinderaker on Wild Biz TV. We're niche casting from Arlington, Nebraska, the second best place in America, according to Business Week, to raise a child.